Gareth, we're here on the banks of the Crown River and there's a very large piece of a tree trunk that has wedged into the bank. Can you talk to us about the benefits of large wood in a bank like this?
Well, obviously wherever you've got structure in a river channel, it's creating a range of habitats. You know, it creates flow diversity. It's going to be beneficial for different invertebrate species, create cover and structure in which fish can actually get away from predators. When it's along a riverbank edge, it can often also create some protection from the bank, for the bank from erosion. So there's a whole range of different benefits it can create, just depending on the individual situation. With a lot of the full trees that go in, where you've got a nice big root ball on, that can actually act as a good anchor point as well, which helps them to stay in place rather than actually getting washed away. You know, it will take a very large flood to actually move them when they've got all the weight of that root ball and the main stem on them. So yeah, on this little stream here, you've got some really good valuable structure within the channel. These branches that have fallen across in there, they're helping to give flow diversity, breaking up that flow through there. In doing so, there's going to be invertebrates living in amongst the material that's trapped there. And it's also going to increase the amount of gravel that's retained within the system rather than the flow just pushing it right the way through. And the beauty of it being just naturally lodged in there, it's not secured in place. Before it builds up into being a complete blockage, it's more than likely that it will just actually start to move again and adjust. You can see there's always ways that the flow is going to make it in amongst and between it. So fish passage isn't generally an issue with this sort of thing. Occasionally they can build up to a point where fish are inhibited, but usually, as I say, they will actually adjust under the weight of water before they become a major issue. And just through having these little pockets down a stream, you know, it's creating really very much better quality pool habitat than if it was just open and you know, with no cover in there at all. So here we've got a branch that's naturally sort of broken under its own weight and dropped down into the channel. That's creating a really nice bit of flow deflection, pinching the flow over to the far side. And by creating that structure in the channel, it's trapping additional bits of woody material that's food for invertebrates and habitat structure for them to live in. You see, it's also trapping some finer gravel material in the channel, which is again really beneficial. And this is actually something that could be nicely replicated with a habitat enhancement feature by finding other similar willow limbs, by putting a small cut into the top of the limb. It would actually help them to just lay down into the channel. That might be a technique that could be used elsewhere to create very natural NFM structures. So you can see this section of river has obviously been straightened quite a bit in the past, and therefore it's steeper and shallower than it would naturally be. But over time, deposition and scour and deposition at high flow has started to build up a bit of a gravel bar here. And then this really beneficial bit of woody material has been deposited on top of there that has actually now been started to be anchored in place with more material, more gravel building up around it. Having the big root ball at this upstream end helps to anchor it in place with the weight there. And all of this additional roughness in the channel is really helping to develop a much bigger gravel bar and pushing a nice big bend that's coming right the way around here, which is starting to get back to a more natural lower gradient channel and creating a lot more in-channel features, a lot more riffles and pools than there was when it was just straightened. You know, from a habitat point of view in the channel, it's really beneficial, and as I understand it, the farmer here has decided that he's going to just stop trying to fight the river and let it actually do its own thing here and get back to a more natural state, which is going to be really good for the fish and invertebrates and other wildlife that are using the area.